Have you ever felt the urge to scream your worth at someone who refused to see it? To beg for attention, explanations, or justification, only to feel completely exhausted by the drama? What if I told you that the single most powerful response isn't words? It's silence. When silence speaks louder than noise. You don't need to block him. You don't need to beg him. And above all, you don't need to lose yourself trying to prove your value. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Let me explain why. Silence rooted in strength, not spite, is more deafening than any argument, any text rant, any emotional explosion. Why? Because when you refuse to engage, you refuse to play by their rules. You refuse to be pulled into their chaos. Breaking the exhausting cycle. When you stop reacting, you essentially step out of the exhausting cycle that has been draining your energy. Think of it like a tug of war. The moment you let go of the rope, the tension disappears. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. Sometimes distraction works just as well. Back and forth arguments, desperate explanations, endless spirals of overthinking. They're distractions. They keep you trapped in their orbit. But just when you get quiet, something shifts. The chaos loses its hold. Peace starts to settle in. Silence is your power. This silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom, restraint, dignity. It's choosing to protect your peace instead of proving a point. So many believe that closure requires one final conversation, the ultimate emotional showdown. But real closure is lived in your soul. It's deciding, this no longer deserves my energy. You don't have to broadcast it. No screen drama, no text rants. Just be still. Let your absence speak louder than your explanations ever could. That's real power. Armor of quiet confidence. Stillness becomes your shield. You stop defending. You stop chasing. You stop arguing. In that stillness, you hold the power. You are no longer reacting for validation. You simply exist with calm confidence. Yes, I know. Your heart will tell you to reach out, to send that text, make that call, post that Instagram story, to get a response. But here, this reaction isn't the same as respect. Attention isn't the same as affection. If someone needs continual reminders of your worth, then they aren't ready for your love. Divine witness to your silence. This isn't about proving anything to them. It's about being seen by the one who truly matters. God already knows what you're enduring. He knows. The weight of your silence. The nights of bottled-up emotion. The tears you brushed off with a smile. The strength it takes to hold your ground. Let that truth sink deep. Your quiet endurance moves heaven. It opens doors. It stirs conviction in hearts that expect reactions but encounter grace instead. And best of all, you didn't have to scream. You didn't have to fight. The silent triumph. In a world that demands noise, emotions, drama, explanations, you choose serenity. You choose dignity. You choose yourself. Silence isn't surrender, it's victory. It's saying, I am worth more than this drama. So next time your heart screams for attention or retribution, lean into silence. Let the quiet be your loudest message. You are whole. You are strong. You are seen by yourself and by the one who understands even your unspoken battles. Silent strength isn't about shutting down, it's about rising above. And that is a triumph that resonates deeper than any words ever could. You didn't have to beg. You didn't have to plead, chase, or cry for clarity. You simply let your absence echo louder than your presence ever did. And that, my friend, is not weakness, that's power. That's grace. That's a quiet revolution that speaks volumes without ever raising its voice. Don't think for a second that silence isn't powerful. It's one of the most underrated forms of strength. It's not just an empty space, it's a holy hush, a sacred stillness. A declaration that says, I don't need to explain myself to be understood. It whispers, "I trust God to speak on my behalf." And it shouts in the most peaceful way possible, "My worth is not determined by your ability to see it." When you stop showing up for those who don't value you, something incredible begins to happen when you stop showing up in spaces where your presence is undervalued. When you stop trying to earn your place in someone's life. When you stop begging to be chosen by someone who made you feel like an afterthought. You don't have to block him out of bitterness. And you don't have to beg him out of desperation. Just stand still in your truth. Don't post those cryptic quotes hoping he'll see it. Don't text him just to check in. Don't chase someone who let you go. Just hold your silence. Stand tall. And watch what happens. Because here's the twist. The same people who thought they could take you for granted will be haunted by the silence you left behind. Your absence will ring louder than any argument, louder than any explanation, louder than any late-night text begging to be understood. You've spent enough time wondering. You've already spent too much time thinking about him, haven't you, replaying conversations, overanalyzing every message, wondering what went wrong, asking yourself what you could have said differently, done better, given more of. You've lived in that mental maze long enough. But let me offer you a truth that might just set you free. Sometimes people don't walk away because you lacked something. Sometimes they leave because they were never equipped to handle everything you are. Your depth, your energy, your love, your fire. It wasn't your deficiency, it was their unpreparedness. And the moment you really deeply understand that something inside of you shifts, that's when you stop asking, "Why did he change?" and start asking, "Why did I stop showing up for myself?" From chasing closure to reclaiming. Clarity closure doesn't come from a final conversation or a perfectly crafted goodbye text. Real closure happens when you realize you were never supposed to carry what he dropped. When you understand that peace is found not in his reply but in your own realignment. You stop chasing answers from someone who was never your source. You stop looking to him for validation and start reconnecting with the woman you were before you started shrinking, bending, compromising, just to keep someone who didn't have the capacity to love you fully. Healing begins when the focus shifts. And here's the beautiful part: when you shift your focus, when your eyes come off of him and turn back to God and to yourself, healing begins. Growth begins. Peace begins. You can't become whole while your mind is still wrapped around the hands that broke you. You can't rediscover your light while your energy is still orbiting someone who dimmed it. It's time to let go of what distracted you and pick up what develops you. Start feeding your purpose instead of feeding your pain. Remember who you are. Because here's what happens when you shift that focus. You remember who you were before all of this. You remember the woman who had dreams, who had confidence, who smiled from the inside out. Not because of a man, not because of a text reply, but because she was rooted in her purpose. She was aligned. She was glowing. She didn't need attention. She was already seen. She didn't need permission. She was already worthy. That woman, she's still in you. She never left. She's just been waiting for you to come home to her. She hasn't disappeared. She hasn't vanished. She's just been buried beneath the weight of everything you hoped he would become. The expectations, the waiting, the disappointment. You held on so tightly to the version of him you wished existed that you slowly began losing sight of the woman you truly are. But hear me clearly, his inability to see your value does not mean that value isn't there. His inconsistency doesn't define your worth. His lack of commitment is not a mirror of your lovability. You were never meant to revolve around his confusion. You were never created to orbit his indecision. No, you were made to rise in your calling, to walk with grace, to stand in peace. But how can you rise if you're still checking your phone every morning, hoping today's the day he finally sees your worth? What if the breakthrough isn't in him, but in you? What if I told you that the very breakthrough you've been praying for won't come by looking at him, but by looking within? There's a light, a glow that returns to a woman when she stops obsessing over someone else's behavior and starts nourishing her soul instead. That glow, it doesn't come from revenge. It doesn't come from proving a point. It comes from peace. That's when the healing begins. Your skin clears up. Your mind gets sharper. Your spirit gets lighter. Why? Because you've stopped leaking your power. You've stopped pouring yourself into someone who never knew what to do with your love. You've stopped begging for affection and started becoming love itself. You've let go of whether he's thinking about you. And you've begun falling in love with the woman God has always been shaping in you. This isn't about him anymore. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making him see what he lost. This is about finally honoring what God placed inside you. Your heart, your time, your presence, that's sacred. And when you begin treating it that way, guess what? The world around you begins to respond. People either rise to meet your worth or fall away. You don't have to post about your healing. You don't need to make noise to prove your growth. Just start moving differently. Start investing in your peace like it's priceless, because it is. Start speaking to yourself with compassion. Start walking into every room with your head held high, not to catch his attention, but because you finally remembered who you are. Let the world adjust to your new standard. And if he comes back, let your healed heart decide, not your lonely one. Because once you've reconnected with your true self, once you've found wholeness in your own reflection, you'll no longer take someone back just because of shared history or emotional habit. You'll wait for the one who mirrors the peace you fought so hard to find. Now, it's your turn. You've spent long enough giving him your time, your energy, your tears. Now it's your turn. It's time to fall back in love with you. Time to sit with your own soul. Time to show up for yourself the way you used to show up for him. Time to stop chasing and start attracting what's already aligned with your purpose. Because when you finally shift your focus, when you make that internal move, you'll realize something powerful. You don't have to chase what's meant for you. It will recognize you. It will feel like peace. It will fit without force, without confusion. And one final truth. You were never meant to carry it all. You weren't created to fix someone who doesn't want to be whole. I know you tried. I know you prayed. You cried. You waited. You gave your heart, your time, your loyalty. And yet it still wasn't enough to change him. But here's what I need you to hear today. That was never your job. You weren't made to be anyone's savior. That's not your weight to bear. Your purpose is not to hold together someone who keeps choosing to fall apart. Some people, some things are not yours to fix. They're yours to release, to put into God's hands. Because no matter how much you love them, you can't change someone who doesn't want to change. We'll talk about how to truly release that weight, step into your freedom, and finally walk in the peace that's been waiting for you all along. No matter how many chances you give, no matter how many times you stay hoping something will shift, the truth is, you can't force someone to grow. That journey, it's between them and God, and that realization, it can break your heart wide open, especially when your soul feels knotted to someone who continues to hurt you, not with fists or loud words, but with silence, inconsistency, and the quiet ache of feeling unloved. But here's where the shift begins, when you finally release what was never yours to carry something sacred happens. God picks it up. The holiness of surrender. We often think surrender is weakness, that letting go means we're giving up. But what if surrender is the most spiritual thing you could do right now? What if peace isn't found in holding on, but in letting go? Because there is a sacred kind of peace that washes over you when you stop trying to control every outcome. When you lay it down, your fears, your confusion, your what-ifs, and say, God, I trust you more than I trust this pain. That's where the freedom comes in. That's where the healing begins. And yes, I know it feels like walking away means you're losing, like you're giving up too soon. But listen closely, sometimes walking away isn't defeat, it's victory. It's you choosing peace over chaos. It's choosing alignment over attachment. It's choosing God over your own understanding. Trust the one who sees it all. God sees what you can't. He hears conversations you'll never hear. He knows the truth behind the charm, the hurt, beneath the silence, and the intentions behind every word. He will never allow what's truly meant for you to slip away, not when you're walking in alignment with Him. Some of you are losing sleep over someone God already removed from your future. You're stressed about being ignored by someone who was only supposed to teach you a lesson, not stay for a lifetime. And deep down, you're not even holding on because of how they treat you now. You're holding on because you're afraid of starting over, but what if starting over is exactly what God needs you to do? What if this ending is the beginning of something sacred? From reaction to release. There comes a point where you have to stop reacting and start releasing. Don't block Him out of bitterness. Don't beg Him out of fear. Just take a breath and say, God, I don't know what's next, but I trust you with what's now. Say it even if your voice shakes, even if your pillow is soaked in tears. Say, God, I'm tired. I'm broken. I've done everything I could. I've tried to fix, to hold on, to pray it better. But now, I give it to you. That kind of whisper offered from a place of surrender has more power than any emotional outburst ever will. Watch what happens when you let go, when you stop trying to do God's job and let Him handle what you can't. Something beautiful starts to happen. You stop living in confusion. You stop questioning your worth every time someone walks away. You stop replaying the past, trying to rewrite the ending. Instead, you start to trust that the story isn't over. It's simply turning the page. And as that page turns, here's the beauty. You stop bleeding for people who never came to heal you. You stop overextending yourself for someone who was never capable of loving you well. You stop dragging dead weight through your destiny. Because where God is taking you next, you can't bring broken attachments. You can't carry bitterness. You can't drag old baggage into new blessings. So today, don't force it. Let this be the moment you release it all. Not because you're weak, but because you finally realized what strength really looks like. Because the peace you're craving won't come through control. It will come through surrender. Don't chase it. Don't manipulate the outcome. Don't try to orchestrate what was never meant to be in your hands. Just trust Him. Trust that God is already ahead of you, working in spaces your eyes haven't seen, arranging details you don't yet understand. Trust that what feels like rejection today might just be His protection tomorrow. That the doors closing now aren't punishment, but divine redirection. I know it hurts right now. I know the silence feels cruel, the unanswered questions, the missing closure. But one day, when you're standing in the middle of a peace you didn't have to beg for, it'll all make sense. The ache, the waiting, the letting go. It will all point back to a God who saw what you couldn't. Real healing happens in silence. Healing doesn't happen in the spotlight. It doesn't happen on your Instagram story or in your next "look how strong I am" selfie. Healing happens in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments where your heart breaks open and God meets you right there in the raw. It happens in the shadows where no one sees but Him. It happens in the in-between, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And the truth is, You don't owe anyone a front row seat to your healing. You don't have to announce your comeback. You don't have to post your progress. You don't even have to let him know you've moved on. Just do it. Heal privately, quietly, deeply. Let your silence speak. Let your growth be the loudest message you'll ever send. Because healing in private builds strength in public. And when your heart is whole again, when your spirit is steady, your presence will speak volumes, without a single word. The power of the unseen. See the world teaches us that visibility equals value, that if people can't see you winning, it must not count. But God, He does His best work in the dark. Think about it. Seeds don't grow in the light. They grow underground, in the quiet, in the dark, in soil that's messy, hidden, and overlooked. And that's exactly where you are right now. Not broken, not abandoned, planted. Your roots are forming in silence. Your strength is growing in private. You're not stuck. You're being prepared. So stop worrying about proving your growth. Stop trying to show him you've moved on. You're not healing to impress him. You're healing to reclaim you. You've been through enough. You've endured more than your fair share of heartbreak. Enough nights lying awake staring at the ceiling, wondering how someone who claimed to care could disappear so easily. Ghost you like you never mattered. Replace you like you were disposable. But listen closely, you are not nothing. You are not forgettable. You are not replaceable. You are a masterpiece under construction. An artwork that takes time, care, craftsmanship. You are being refined. And what God is building in you right now, it doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It needs time. It needs patience. It needs protection. It needs privacy. Not everyone deserves access to your healing process. Stop trying to prove you're okay. It's a trap so many of us fall into, trying to show the person who broke us that we're okay without them. We post more. We dress better. We pretend harder. But here's the truth. The moment you're trying to prove you're fine, you're still giving them power. You don't need to perform your healing. You don't need to convince them or yourself that you've moved on. You just need to do the work, the real work, the soul work, the deep, uncomfortable, quiet process of coming back to yourself. And when that healing is real, you'll no longer need to prove it. You'll be it. Last time we talked about healing in silence, about growing beneath the surface, where no one sees but God. And now let's go even deeper into that quiet space where transformation truly begins. We try so hard, don't we? We dress it up, post the smiles, and force the glow, all just to be seen, just to be noticed. We paint over the cracks with filters and captions, hoping someone, anyone will say, "You're doing great." But real healing, it doesn't beg for validation. It finds peace. Because you don't heal to prove something. You don't heal to post it. You heal to be free. Free from the patterns that trapped you, from the emotional pull that kept reeling you back in, from the pain that had you starving for crumbs while God was trying to serve you a whole banquet. Don't be fooled by the silence. Don't let the silence fool you. It may feel empty, but it's not. It's sacred. That silence, that stillness, it's where you find your voice again. It's where you remember your value without needing anyone else to confirm it. It's the place where you finally stop performing and start becoming. And here's the thing. Becoming whole again. It doesn't always feel like fireworks. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's intentional. You won't even notice it at first. But one morning you'll wake up and something will be different. The anxiety. It's a little quieter. The memories, they sting a little less. The air, it feels lighter. That, my friend, is healing. Quiet, steady, sacred healing. When he comes back, and he will. And when he circles back, and trust me, he will, you won't have anything to prove. You won't need to explain the silence, the space, the shift, because by that time, you'll be so rooted in peace, so deeply grounded in the woman you've become, that his confusion won't even shake you. You won't feel the need to rehash the past. You'll have already made peace with it. And when you look back, you won't feel bitterness. You'll feel gratitude. You'll thank God, not because it didn't hurt, but because it refined you. Because the fire wasn't meant to burn you, it was meant to purify you. Your value was never about who stayed. Your worth was never based on who stayed. And it was never defined by who walked away. You're not healing for revenge. You're healing for alignment, for clarity, for the future God has already prepared just for you. And that future, it doesn't require you to carry what broke you. It doesn't need the dead weight of yesterday's pain. It doesn't want your bitterness. Just breathe. Just heal. Just rise. That kind of transformation, real lasting spiritual growth, starts in the quiet. So if they don't see you right now, that's okay. You don't need to post it. You don't need to rush to update your story or prove that you're okay. Just breathe. Just heal. Just rise in silence. Let God restore you in private, so that when He reveals you, there will be no doubt that it was Him who did the work. Previously, we talked about rising in silence, allowing God to restore you in private. Now let's bring that journey full circle. Because after the quiet healing comes the quiet power, the moment where you stop chasing, stop proving, and simply become. You don't need to block Him. You don't need to beg Him. You don't need to prove your worth to someone who was never ready to hold it. Just heal. In the stillness. Grow in the silence. And watch what unfolds. Because there comes a moment on your healing journey when you stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying why you loved so deeply, stayed so long, gave so much. You no longer feel the need to make excuses for your heart. Why? Because you finally understand that your future isn't behind you. Let them go. Let them miss you. When someone chooses to walk away from you, let them. When they stop calling, stop caring. Stop showing up, don't chase. That silence you hear, it's not just emptiness. It's an answer. Sometimes God allows their silence not to punish you, but to protect you from what your heart wasn't strong enough to release on its own. You may not see it clearly now, but the very moment that felt like it was breaking you, it may be the very thing that ends up saving you. Let them miss you. Let them sit in the consequence of their choices. Let them feel the weight of your absence, because as long as you keep reaching out, checking in, explaining, you're shielding them from the realization of what they had. People don't miss what they never lose. And sometimes your silence is the loudest sermon they'll ever hear. That echo. They feel it's not your loss. When you stop showing up for people who consistently disappoint you, your absence starts to echo. The space where your love, your patience, your energy once lived, it gets loud. But hear this, it's not your loss, it's theirs. And when you pull back, you create the distance they need to realize what they took for granted. But don't wait around for them to figure it out. Don't press pause on your life, hoping for an apology, hoping for a shift. Your worth was never something that needed to be proven, only recognized. And if they couldn't see it, that's not your burden to carry. That's their blind spot, not your failure. You are not too much. You are not too emotional. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. You're simply too valuable to be handled casually. And when someone treats you like you're disposable, that says more about their capacity than it ever will about your identity. So this is your moment. This is where you draw the line. You stop waiting for closure. You stop justifying behavior that disrespects your boundaries. You stop showing up in places where you're no longer celebrated. You stop shrinking so someone else can feel big. And you start showing up for yourself. Let them miss you while you rise. Let them miss the sound of your laugh, the light in your eyes, the strength in your loyalty. Let them sit in the quiet and wonder how they fumbled someone who would have walked through fire for them. Let them feel the distance, but don't let that distance define you. Because you keep going. You keep growing. Keep healing. Keep becoming the woman God has always created you to be. And when you stop trying to control how they see you and start focusing on how He sees you, everything changes. Your posture shifts. Your confidence deepens. Your voice no longer shakes. You begin to carry yourself with a quiet confidence that doesn't demand validation, because you've already been affirmed by the one who never left your side. And when they return, and if they come back, and let's be honest, they often do, you won't need to prove a thing. Your growth will speak for itself. Your peace will be unshakable. And your heart, guarded by so much grace that not everyone who once had access will be allowed in again. Let them miss you, not to hurt them, but to heal you. Let them sit with the weight of their choices, while you sit in the presence of the one who restores all things. Because when you stop chasing and start trusting, you don't just move on. You rise above it. So let them miss you. And just watch what happens. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt, piece by piece, in peace. And when God is finished, you'll realize He wasn't taking things away. He was clearing space for the life He had in mind all along. Let them miss you. Let God reveal you. Your healing is happening and it's holy.